Jimmy Garoppolo took nothing but crap as he guided the Niners to the Super Bowl. Jimmy Garoppolo looks like a movie star. Jimmy Garoppolo was traded for and rich. He was coveted. Most men aren't. Brock Purdy is you. Overlooked, called Mr. Irrelevant, not making really any relative to the salaries of the NFL money. What a story that's relatable. But let's be honest about both Garoppolo, who you criticized, constantly blamed as a scapegoat for every loss, and Brock Purdy, who you demanded need to be in the MVP chatter. During the Super Bowl run for Garoppolo, he had one great offensive player. One. His leading receiver was Kendrick Bourne. He went to Eastern Washington University, where I went. Okay? He had George Kittle. He didn't have Christian McCaffrey. Debo was a kid, a rookie. Didn't have Brandon Ayuk. Didn't have Trent Williams. It was a defensive squad. They were thin on offense. Brock Purdy, the relatable guy, his Super Bowl run, has 5 Pro Bowlers on offense. It's arguably the greatest collection of offensive talent at skill positions in my life. The best running back since Walter Payton, Hall of Fame left tackle Trent Williams, the chess piece, Debo, Brandon Ayuk. PFF says he's the second best receiver in the league. And George Kittle. He had a stacked deck. Yet in the Super Bowl, both outplayed Garoppolo and Purdy. Both outplayed Mahomes early. Both had a 10-point lead. Both lost to Mahomes, and both were outplayed late. Yet Garoppolo was blamed for it. Purdy, I thought he was good. That Shanahan held him down. Go back to that Super Bowl. Remember the pass Jimmy Garoppolo late in the Super Bowl missed on? I can't believe it. They should have won. Mahomes is a nobody. This pass cost them the Super Bowl. Wide open. Not really. Wide open. I can't believe that long throw. Ball carries in the air for, I don't know, 55 yards in the air. He missed him by 2. What a bum. Garoppolo took all the heat. Let's go to Sunday. Brock Purdy, a much shorter throw to an equally wide open wide receiver. It didn't hardly get press coverage. Purdy wide open, time to throw. Misses Ayuk. And then later misses Debo badly. Again, shorter throws, easier throws to make. Look how bad he misses. A touchdown here. That's a short throw. That's not a 55-yard throw in the air. He missed 2. And what's even more interesting is if you examine Purdy with a loaded offensive roster through 27 starts and Garoppolo with George Kittle through 27. It's the same guy. Brock is simply more efficient. Both went 21-6. Both completed 67% of their throws. Both throw for 248 yards a game. Brock has a higher passer rating and a little more efficient. Yeah, I would be too. With Christian McCaffrey and Debo and Ayuk and Trent Williams through 27 starts. But you don't look like Garoppolo. You weren't traded for, made rich. You weren't coveted. Brock Purdy is us, and we like us. It's hard to relate to a 7'2" NBA guy or a baseball pitcher that pitches 100 miles an hour. But football players get hit. They work in rain, snow. They play hurt. We have to go to work when we don't feel good. We feel sometimes irrelevant, like Mr. Irrelevant. Garoppolo was blamed for everything. Shanahan takes all the heat when Purdy struggles. I'm just saying, add some context. That's why I often defended Garoppolo and why I'm viewed as often critical of Purdy. What did they have to work with? Here's a story that is massively overblown. And let me start by saying I've been doing this for 30 years, radio and television. And yet I don't know what a single button or lever does in the control room. If the staff yelled in my ear, "We have a graphics problem," I'd be like, "Awesome, fix it." I don't know any of the buttons. And yet I've been in this profession for 30 years. Why? Because Fox and my former bosses at ESPN knew I was good talking to a microphone and didn't want to clutter up my head with stuff that they could pay other people to do. Andy Reid and Kyle Shanahan are paid to know the overtime rules. Be careful how much you put on the players. So the most overblown story is that the players for the Niners didn't know the overtime rules. It should be noted, Mecole Hardman caught the winning touchdown pass for Kansas City. He didn't know the game was over. He didn't know the game was over. People are making it sound like the overtime rules were a huge deviation. Like the official goes to the players and says, okay, guys, you can no longer use your hands here. We're playing soccer. Or the official says, all right, from now on, touchdowns are worth 3, field goals worth 7. No, instead, Kyle said, we'll take the ball first. My defense is gassed. They were just on the field. And let's generate a long drive and score. And they did, but only a field goal and not a touchdown. What he wanted was the ball if Kansas City came back to score, so Kyle would get the final possession potentially. And I defend that. Kyle knew the rules, and so did Andy Reid. They had both talked to their analytic specialists. I have news for you. The guy conducting the orchestra doesn't know how to play the clarinet. When your basement gets flooded, you ask your wife, are we covered? You don't know your insurance plan, champ. She's doing most of the work. I've got an accountant. I make a good living. I don't know the rules. Colin, that's different. You pay an accountant, and the Niners pay Andy Reid and Shanahan to know it. I was told this years ago by a very smart coach, not sure if he'd want it repeated. He said, I try to simplify the game. These are 23-year-olds. It's hard enough to figure out what to do at the line of scrimmage. They don't need to know everything. Almost how we treat our kids sometimes. And these players are kids. They're 22, they're 23, they're 24. You want them to play hard and you want them to play fast. You go to overtime. I'd say defensive guys, make sure you tackle. Offensive guys, catch, run, and score. The rules apply. That's one play in a crowded stadium where you can barely hear. They have 60 of them. You're also supposed to know audibles. I want to clog up your head as a 24-year-old with overtime rules? I don't really know the strategy there. Coaches are paid to do the game plans and have the strategy.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.